All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to DAO Talk Weekly. This is DAO Talk Weekly, your one-stop shop for everything DAOs. I'm Tommy.
And I'm Frisson.
We're on episode 44. We're getting ever so closer to episode 50. Maybe we'll have a big celebration for that. I don't know. But Frisson, my question to you, my friend, is the bear market over? Or is this a bull trap? Or both?
Biggest bull trap I've ever seen. But they won't trap me. No, I'm feeling pretty good about this being the start of something. Yeah. I think there's been enough time for the ecosystem to heal from a lot of the things that went down over the past couple years. And I think the biggest headwind was the U.S. regulatory environment. And that is obviously still a major headwind, but things took a very interesting turn this week when a huge swath of like the most important people in traditional finance all were like, yeah, crypto is probably going to stick around. By the way, you want to buy my Bitcoin ETF? So it kind of feels like, the traditional finance industry doesn't actually agree with Gary Gensler that crypto, there's no need for crypto and you should just have a central bank digital currency. And so, yeah, I think things are. I see the signs of sort of a bottom there from a regulatory perspective in the U.S., and then I think we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be a long road, right, to get regulatory clarity. But I think we're kind of at the beginning of that long road. So I'm feeling good. I'm excited, and yeah, I'm ready to keep building. Let's go.
Hell yeah. Again. Never financial advice, not financial advice, NFA. Well, you come to DAO Talk, not only for the DAO takes, the DAO updates, but a little bit of general macro analysis on the market and where we're going, where we've been, where we're headed. As always, this was the bear market pod. I guess we have to change that eventually soon. It's still
the bear market. It's still the bear market.
Still, yeah, but like,
yeah.
Yeah, we got to keep the vibes.
So we've reached like a really weird, painful stage where it's like it's been so long without exiting the bear market that people are just starting to give up or just run out of money, right? So like there's a lot of announcements about startups in the crypto space closing shop this week, and then many more just non-announcements, like quiet it's overs. Low-key, the number of startups that were founded during the last bull that are still alive is actually really low, which is hard. But I'm really hoping that, the folks that made the most progress will make it through to the next bull, including Tally. So a lot of great teams still around and building, even though it's hard to see a lot of folks having a close shop as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to still be here. Happy to still be building. And, that's something we've talked about a lot during the bear market is like keeping those vibes up, continue to build. Unfortunately, it is, may the best man win in the end. And, not everyone's going to make it. But here we are, continuing on. So let's jump right into some quick updates from the DAO ecosystem this week. The arbitrum voting period is pretty long. We've talked about this. We've talked about these proposals, the first on-chain proposals from the arbitrum DAO. I think this is week 3 now that we've talked about it. But fear not, dear listener, it is almost complete. AIP 1.1 and AIP 1.2 will be ending in the next 1 to 2 days. Is there a reason there is a not specific time that it ends, and it's kind of a general?
It's because AIP 1.2 ends tomorrow or Friday, I guess today for the listeners, and then AIP 1.1 ends the next day. And that's because the first version of AIP 1.1 had an error in it, and so there's an old version that is not going to pass, and then the updated version, which was created a little bit later, is the one that is more likely to pass. I think the updated AIP 1.1 is already at quorum, and so it will pass. 1.2, I think, still has some work to do to get there.
I think 1.2 is at quorum as well. Let me pull
is
up
it really?
Graphic on Tally right now. I think so, yeah.
Oh, nice. Great.
Yeah, just over quorum.
Will you scroll up to the 4 votes? Let me see who... Okay, so L2 Beat voted, and then just everyone else kind of came through. That's great. Yeah, it was pretty close earlier this week. Yeah, L2 Beat and Eric Wall and Sobi were all larger, and Plutus DAO were all larger delegates who hadn't voted yet until maybe yesterday. So great to see that come through.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like AIP 1.2 and 1.1. So Arbitrum's first on-chain proposals will pass. If you're listening to this, AIP 1.1 is probably already complete, unless you're listening to this very early in the morning, if you're one of those OG DAO Talk listeners. So that's pretty exciting from the Arbitrum ecosystem. We'll see how this plays out. It's played out relatively, nondescript on Twitter. It's been pretty straightforward. Not a lot of controversy, which I think is good. But also there has been a lot of, participation, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel as our resident Arbitrum whale. But any thoughts on the process or, post-mortems? I know it's not over yet, but what has it been like the past couple weeks? What do you have to report?
It's been good. People are very supportive of these proposals. A really high percentage of people voted in both. Unusually high DAO participation, I'd say. As much as I'd like to think that's the Arbitrum DAO, it's also just because the DAO's new. And if you look at most on-chain DAOs, the early proposals do the best in terms of engagement. So obviously we have to keep working as an ecosystem on how to retain that engagement. But really, really high participation on these first two proposals, which is great to see.
Yeah, it's still crazy though. High participation, the bar is still super low because we're looking at Tally's interface right now, and it's 1.5 to 1.7% total participation rate in terms of votes cast. But I don't have anything prophetic to say around that. Just it is high participation, especially from the large delegates. But
that's interesting. That's probably as a percentage of the total supply of the ARB token.
Yeah,
which is probably not the right metric. Actually, it's probably better to look at delegated votes. That's something I'll send over to the team because a lot of the total supply of ARB is locked. In various vesting contracts and things like that. So that's something I'll share.
Yeah, I was surprised when I saw 1.5% because all of the large delegates are here voting. Over 500 addresses have voted. So live product feedback on DAO Talk. You come here for seeing behind the scenes, seeing how the pudding is made. So cool shit.
Yeah, all right. That's a great catch actually. Shout out to Tommy. Now you know why we keep him around.
Not just a pretty face and a pretty voice. All right, moving right along in the ecosystem.
It's not just for the CrossFit picks on the TL.
Hey, CrossFit always gets brought up. Oh my gosh, we're moving on. No talking about me. Let's talk about Uniswap. Uniswap V4 is here. It was talked about this week from Cool Horse Girl on the Tally newsletter. Tally newsletter number 102. Quick breakdown. Why should people care about V4? What are the big features? I know hooks are kind of like the secret sauce or secret weapon of Uniswap V4. For those who maybe aren't as technically sound or technically savvy, no pun intended. Not no pun intended. For those who aren't that technically educated, maybe I'll take that. I'm not super well versed in Uniswap V4. Why should we care? What are the killer features of it, and why does it matter for the broader ecosystem?
I've been taking in some Uniswap V4 content here over the last week or so. Super exciting. I think there's a couple of things to think about just as a general on-chain participant in the Ethereum ecosystem. So number one, so I'm going to try to say this with as little jargon as possible. So the most important feature of Uniswap is that anyone can provide liquidity. So anyone can say, hey, here's a couple of tokens. If you exchange them, I will make the market on that. To deploy a new token pair and provide liquidity for it in Uniswap, the way it works today with Uniswap V3 is you use something called a factory contract, which basically means you have to deploy a new smart contract with your liquidity pair, but there's some gas savings baked in based on using a contract that already has a lot of deployments. but it's still expensive. So people are most likely to deploy new liquidity pairs when the chain is very busy and gas is really high, which then creates like a feedback loop that makes gas higher. And that's like actually during the whole like meme coin mania this summer, like the deployment and use of Uni V3 new liquidity pairs is, if I were to give you one reason why gas was high, that was it. And so they have this new thing in Uniswap V4 called a singleton contract or a singleton. And, without getting too technical, especially because I don't actually understand it, you can deploy a new pool without deploying a new smart contract. It's all part of like this one same smart contract. And that should reduce gas fees for deploying new pools by like multiple orders of magnitude. So like 90+%. I think Hayden said 99% on a podcast. So that's pretty crazy. Like that's going to be a huge needle mover for just like decreasing the total gas footprint of Uniswap, which is by far the largest consumer of gas on Ethereum. So just the gas footprint of Ethereum. So that's huge. That's one. And then two is this thing called hooks. So Uniswap is kind of like the primary liquidity venue on chain, but a lot of people have ideas for like building on top of Uniswap. And today they basically have to like accept Uniswap's design fully, all aspects of it, and then like, incorporate that into whatever their protocol idea is. But with Uniswap V4, it takes a bunch of the basically parameters of Uniswap and takes them out of the design and then allows you to add them back in optionally as hooks. So the default Uniswap V4 is like basically a slimmed down version of Uniswap. And then the expectation is that teams, including I think Uniswap Labs, but also other teams, will deploy versions of Uniswap that have their own ideas about how the protocol should work via hooks. So that is very, very cool as well. So yeah, I think both of those things are going to change the game on chain for sure when Uniswap V4 is deployed.
In the show notes as well, if you want to go a little bit deeper on that, if anything Frisson just mentioned piqued your interest, always go check that out, dive a little deeper. Moving right along, Scroll is now supported on Tally. We mentioned earlier in some episodes, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, about supporting Arbitrum Nova, which is an Arbitrum sidechain, or more than an Arbitrum sidechain. You can go listen to that one if you're unsure of that. But Tally is now supporting Scroll as well. Frisson, Scroll, for those who don't know what Scroll is, describe it to them relatively quickly. Why you think the future for Scroll is bright? Because I know we agree on that.
Technical research roll-up. Twitter has been in a tizzy really for months now, but this week they've been in a tizzy over like what an L2 even is. So Scroll is a roll-up. It's a general purpose roll-up on Ethereum, similar to like Arbitrum and Optimism, but they use a different cryptographic method or implementation to create a trustless link between Ethereum L1 and the rollup. Specifically, they use zero knowledge proofs instead of fraud proofs, which is what Arbitrum uses for their rollup. And so there's various like trade-offs, but a lot of people think that zero knowledge proofs are like could be / might be more efficient, but they're like a little later getting to market in terms of just like the R&D than fraud proofs. And Scroll, they have a lot of momentum. There's a bunch of different zero knowledge based L2s that are going to launch. There's 2 that are already live, general purpose ones, which are ZK Sync Era and Polygon ZK VM. Scroll is a little bit later. They're sort of like, what they're optimizing for is being more EVM compatible than other options, like closer to being EVM equivalent, I guess. than other options. So yeah, people are very excited about Scroll, like developers and users and stuff. So we are launching support for their test net, but the mainnet launch should come later this year, which we will support as well.
Absolutely. I got to keep you honest on DAO Talk. Make sure you know what you're talking about. Get you going. All right. We're going to end this episode with something I don't think we've ever done before on DAO Talk. We're going to live demo a feature on Tally, or just talk about the announcement of a new feature that's coming on Tally right now. As we're recording this around 1 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, June 22nd, our CEO is about to get on stage, Dennis and Bertram, and announce a new product feature on Tally, which is a feature called Swaps in collaboration with CowSwap, Frisson. As I pull up this video, tell the people a little bit about swaps, why it's super important for DAOs, and why we're so excited about it.
Yeah, this is going to be super dope. So, taking a step back, I would say that DAO treasuries are large. So on Tally, there's over $10 billion of DAO treasury funds. But if you look at them, the funds tend to be not very diverse. So depending on the DAO, like Nouns, it's mostly ETH. Uniswap, it's mostly Uni token. ENS, it's mostly ETH, but there's also ENS token. Maybe that's one of them. And they also have USDC. ENS probably has the most diverse treasury, but even then it's like a few assets. And so what I would say is like, our hypothesis is that DAO treasuries are not as diverse as would be ideal or as DAOs need them to be. Part of that is just like managing volatility, but part of it is also like maybe they need to pay contributors, or maybe they want to get yield on a specific asset, right? And they sort of may or may not be able to do that because they just don't have that asset. So then the question is why? Well, it's pretty hard actually to swap tokens in the treasury without breaking the trust model of the DAO. One approach to treasury diversification would be to send your funds to some like off-chain third party that like does the swap and manages your treasury for you. But that kind of like takes all the cool secure properties of having the funds in an on-chain treasury where you can only move them with an on-chain vote, and takes it away, which is a bummer and just not really like our guiding light at Tally, right? And so we have built a feature that makes it much easier to swap DAO tokens on chain. In particular, we built a custom action on Tally where you can easily choose tokens to swap and then use what's called CowSwap, which is a lot of people, it's a really popular protocol, gaining popularity really rapidly, especially this summer, as people have kind of realized the need for MEV protection. But it basically takes your order and it facilitates an auction, an on-chain auction. Well, technically the auction is off-chain, but a trustless auction, right, for the user, where their funds are still, self-custodied, where market makers bid to fill that order in advance, and it kind of like creates a competitive market for the MEV and ends up reducing the amount of MEV that the user experiences, or slippage the user experiences. And we've taken that CowSwap protocol and we've integrated it into Tally so that DAOs can get MEV protection, so they can be sure that when they're swapping tokens, they're getting like that, hopefully more efficient execution on the swap, despite the fact that they're like broadcasting it in advance, right, for everyone to see via a DAO proposal. So that's all sounds complicated, but the whole goal is we were making it easy. So any contributor can just go ahead and create an on-chain swap with MEV protection on Tally in a few clicks. So we're super stoked about this and think it'll be valuable for DAOs going forward. If you're interested, just DM us on Twitter and we will get you set up with on-chain DAO swaps. On-chain swaps for DAOs on Tally.
Onchain sauce for DAOs on Tally, super easy, super simple, pretty awesome collaboration. It kind of makes a ton of sense for CalSwap and Tally to collaborate using, Tally's no-code platform and CalSwap's backend tech. It's pretty sick collaboration, and we're excited to see, where DAOs take this in the future. I mean, it's pretty straightforward where they're going to take it, but it's going to be sweet to see how, it seamlessly makes the operations of DAOs more efficient and more safe. So super exciting to see. Of course, like we said, it's being announced right now. So we'll link any talks or keynotes or content that comes out tomorrow. If you're listening to this then it's today in the show notes. Super excited about this product, and yeah, that's it. That's a brand new segment on Tally. I don't know how often we're going to do that, but pretty sick to be able to do it on DAO Talk. Frisson, it's been an honor. It's been a busy week. Hopefully we continue these up only vibes going forward, and continue to build, of course, keep the bear market mindset, but have, bull market vibes going forward. Any closing thoughts? The summer solstice. Was it really the summer solstice?
Yeah, yesterday was.
Yeah. What does that mean?
It's the longest day of the year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That's not the technical definition, obviously, but yeah, it's the longest day of the year.
Yeah. Well, damn. All right. Well, happy summer solstice. Well, it's been episode 44 of DAO Talk Weekly. We will see you next week. Got another DAO Talk interview coming out next week with the founder of Stable Lab, one of the largest DAO delegates. We've talked about Stable Lab a lot in previous episodes, like the Butter collaboration and Delegation Week. So keep an eye out for that on Tuesday next week. Frisson, as always, it's been an honor. We'll see you next week for episode 45. Peace.